Hey everybody, I'm Grandmaster Ben Finegold here with our World Championship recap coverage. 5 minutes with Ben. It's going to be about 10 minutes, but you get the idea. Sort of like a double 5 minutes with Ben. The first game was finished about an hour ago between Gukesh and Liren. Gukesh had the white pieces for the first game, and then they alternate every round. So tomorrow Liren has white. So this is round one, game one of the World Championship match, long awaited. So let's have a look. Pull my keyboard closer. Okay, so Gukesh played e4, and typically Liren plays e5, but he played e6, which I assume is preparation from his coach, Richard Rapport, who's there with him in Singapore. And they played a normal French, normal mainline position. And in this position, after c5, white played knight e2. Knight e2 is an unusual move. Typically, white's playing knight f3, knight c6, bishop e3. This is the main line. There's thousands and thousands of Grandmaster games. But knight e2 is also played. The idea is white wants to bolster the center with by playing c3. So it's also played. Okay, and white sort of moves his pieces towards the king side to play for a king side attack. And the players didn't disappoint. White played on the king side and black played on the queen side. You can see Ding played a5. So knight f3, a4. Black is getting this queenside attack on. Bishop e3, developing a piece. So Gukesh has been developing his pieces every move the last few moves, catch up in development. Bishop e7, g4. Here comes white's kingside onslaught. Queen a5. Here comes black's queenside onslaught. Bishop g2. Gukesh has completed development. He just has to castle. Ding still has his poor bishop on c8. It hasn't castled yet either. But Ding has a lot of play on the queen side with all his queenside pawn advances. Okay, a3, advancing again. b3. C takes d4. And when black plays a3 and white plays b3, this weakens the c3 pawn. So over the next 15, 20 moves, Ding is going to be attacking that c3 pawn and trying to win it. And Gukesh said, get out of here. Stop attacking my c3 pawn, and played b4. And if we sacrifice a piece and we're like, hey, it's check, and I'm attacking the bishop, look at me. Well, then bishop d2. And then you're down a piece, and you have some pawns, but pawn structure for black is sort of strange. Okay, so after b4, he played queen c7, and queen c7 puts pressure on e5, and you might be saying, well, e5 is defended by a pawn. What are you talking about? Well, white would like to play f5 and start attacking on the king side, but if white ever plays f5 now, it's a pawn sacrifice because the e5 pawn just too well attacked. And if white doesn't play f5, white's going to have trouble getting a mating attack going. Okay, first things first, there's a pawn on d4, so takes with the knight. Knight b6, the knight wants to go to c4. And here the engine wants to play knight b5, attacking the queen, and then bishop f1, defending the c4 square, so the knight, if it hops in, we can get rid of it. Always play bishop f1. Gukesh didn't want to do any of that. Gukesh just castled. The knight did hop into c4, which is what Ding wanted to do. Bishop f2, saving the bishop. Bishop d7. Queen e2, just slow developing moves. Queen e2 defends the pawn, so it helps white play f5 later, although still not defended enough. It's still attacked 3 times. So black still has ways to stop white from playing f5. Knight takes d4. This position, the engine slightly prefers for white to take with the bishop, but Gukesh took with the knight, which is also good. The knight has a good square on d4. Knight b2, discovered attack on the c3 pawn. Queen e3, defending the c3 pawn. Rook c8, attacking the c3 pawn again. Rook c1. Queen c4, attacking the a2 pawn. Sort of annoying because it's pass pawn on the 6th rank if he takes it. So that's, basically black is attacking these weak pawns and trying to put pressure so white forgets about checkmating him. f5, he's like, all right, I'll checkmate you. Take my a pawn. And here the engine just castles because the engine's cold-blooded. But Ding played queen d3, which is also a good move. Because if we trade queens, then white just has these weak queenside pawns. And white's not going to checkmate black if we trade queens. So in this position, the engine says g5 is the best move and keep attacking. But Gukesh didn't want to trade queens. So Gukesh played queen e1. And some would say this is the losing move. Because after bishop g5, black is taking over. Black's pieces are all up in white's grill. And white has a lot of weak pawns. And white's pieces, except for the knight, aren't very good on the 1st and 2nd rank. Okay, bishop g5 attacks the rook. Rook went to c2, defending the c pawn again. Rook c4. And the idea is to just take the knight, and then the knight is defending the rook, so then the rook's not defended. h4 attacking the bishop. The bishop squeezes into f4. And now Ding is really threatening rook takes knight and queen takes rook afterwards. So Gukesh doesn't really have a good square for his rook. If he plays rook e2, that hangs the c3 pawn. So he plays queen b1, which also hangs the c3 pawn. So rook takes c3. Ding has finally crashed through. And white's attack isn't... It's okay, but it's not like seriously threatening black. Rook takes, queen takes, black's a pawn ahead, and pawn on b4 is weak. The knight has c4 and d3. Bishop on f4 is attacking e5. White's position's collapsing. fe6. The engine wants to take with the bishop, but taking with the pawn is fine. Knight e2, forking the queen and bishop. Queen takes e5. And in this position, Gukesh missed his last chance. Still position is bad, but he needs to stop Ding from castling. So he should play bishop c5, attacking the queen, and stopping Ding from castling ever. Then black is probably still winning, but it's close. It's like, maybe winning. But instead he played queen c2, and now black played the very nice queen c4 to trade queens and ostensibly win all of white's pawns. Every white pawn is weak, and white's already down 2 pawns. So white doesn't want to trade queens because white's down 2 pawns. So queen d2. Ding on move 31 of the first game of the World Championship. Castles kingside. And now black's just 2 pawns up, and white's pawn structure is terrible. White's pawns are all hanging. So this is an easily winning position. And he played until time control. Bishop d4. Knight d3 attacking the bishop. And then this looks good for white because black traded rooks into this pin. But Ding had the brilliant move e5 all worked out. Now if you take the knight, you lose the bishop, and you lose the bishop in pawn endgame. So he took the pawn. Queen takes g4 check, unpins. And okay, black's just 2 pawns up, and white's pawns are still all weak. White's king is not very safe either. So h6, making black's king safe. Queen d1, threatening queen h1 mate. This gives the g3 square to the king. Queen check. Queen takes a2. Black's up 3 pawns as a passed pawn on a3. And king h8. King h8 is an important move. If you play king h7, which is not a good move, I can take the bishop with check and then take the queen. So now, after king h8, Gukesh resigned. if you take the bishop now with the same idea, black throws in this check and then takes the queen. So that doesn't work. So after king h8, black is up 3 pawns. Black's threatening queen g2 mate. Black has passed pawns on a3 and d5. Black's 3 pawns ahead here, 5 pawns to 2, and they've made the time control, so Gukesh resigned. A brilliant victory for Ding in the first game. Very surprising to me. I wouldn't have been surprised if Ding didn't win any games, but Ding played brilliantly that game. He just played great. He took the play to Gukesh, and it was just a fascinating game. I'm Grandmaster Ben Finegold. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment. It helps the channel out a lot. And I'll see you guys next time with more 5 Minutes with Ben World Championship recap. I'll see you tomorrow with Game 2. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.